What if the Earth doubled in size overnight? Not with a cataclysmic bang, not with a slow, grinding process, but in a silent, seamless instant. The planet didn't rip apart, it simply expanded. The world's surface stretched, its core swelled, and every molecule of land, sea, and sky duplicated itself to fill the new, enormous volume. It was an elegant, terrifying magic trick. The immediate effects were not the explosions people would have expected. They were far more insidious. For Dr. Eris Thorne, a geophysicist who had been living in a deep, underground lab, the first sign was a feeling of crushing weight. His feet felt impossibly heavy, his movements slow and agonizing. He stumbled and fell, his bones groaning under the strain. He looked at the monitors and the reason became clear. The Earth's radius had doubled, and with it, its volume had increased eightfold. Its mass, assuming uniform density, was now 8 times what it was a moment ago. Gravity had spiked. Outside, the world was a silent tableau of devastation. People hadn't been crushed into puddles. They were just unable to stand. Bones splintered and muscles strained as the force of gravity became a physical prison. The buildings designed for a different world buckled under their own increased weight, their foundations crumbling. Skyscrapers bent like weeping willows, and bridges snapped like brittle twigs. The oceans, held by their original basins, now occupied only a fraction of the newly expanded planet, leaving behind vast, desolate new coastlines. The sky, once a familiar blue, was a darker, denser shade. Dr. Thorne and his team were among the few survivors, protected by their lab's deep, heavily reinforced structure. From their bunker, they watched the slow-motion destruction of their world on seismic monitors and satellite feeds. The ground was not just expanding, it was groaning under immense geological stress. New fissures ripped continents apart, forming colossal canyons that bled molten rock. Volcanoes erupted where none had existed before, spewing lava into the newly thickened atmosphere. It was a dying world, a planet being suffocated by its own size. For days, they worked in the oppressive gravity, their movements slow and deliberate. They had to figure out what had happened. This was no natural event. Dr. Thorne, using his advanced seismic equipment, discovered a subtle artificial pattern in the planet's core. A faint, repeating signal. His research, which had been ridiculed for years, had been right all along. There was an anomaly, but it wasn't a natural one. It was a cosmic terraforming program, an ancient blueprint from a long-dead civilization. They had created this signal to expand planets, to give them a new life and prevent them from spiraling into their suns. It was a program meant to help. The irony was a bitter, stinging poison. The program, designed for a younger, simpler world, had accidentally activated on a mature planet with fragile biological life and complex infrastructure. But the worst was yet to come. The initial expansion had stopped, but the after effects were far more terrifying. The immense new gravitational pull was beginning to destabilize the planet's orbit. It was a slow decay, measured in inches per year, but it was undeniable. The magnetic field, the very shield that protected life from solar radiation, was flickering erratically. The core, expanded so rapidly, was struggling to maintain its stability. The planet wasn't just ruined, it was on a slow, one-way journey into the sun. Dr. Thorne and his team now had a new mission. Their goal was no longer just to survive, but to save what was left of their world. They had to reverse the terraforming process. They worked around the clock, their bodies screaming under the weight of the new gravity. They had to build a counter-signal, an anti-blueprint, to reverse the expansion and stabilize the planet. The climax came when the building's foundation began to shudder violently, a sign that time was running out. They had to send the signal from their crumbling underground lab. They succeeded. A final, powerful burst of energy pulsed from their bunker into the Earth's core. The planet's groaning stopped. The expansion was halted. The magnetic field slowly began to regain its strength. The planet was saved, but it was not the same. Gravity remained at its higher, more oppressive level. The continents were scarred with massive canyons and volcanic scars, and the oceans were vast, desolate basins of dust. Humanity, a few scattered survivors in a world that had been stretched too thin, was left to rebuild. Their world was now twice as big, a beautiful, ruined wasteland, where every step was a struggle and every breath was a testament to their terrible survival.